Hello, hello, Matt Gemmell here once again, and it's another video about e-ink stuff, in particular, of course, the Supernote. This is the A6X2 Nomad, the notebook-sized one. Absolutely love this thing to bits. I have completely transferred over to it from my previous device, which is the Books Go 10.3, which is still on my desk. I just love the flow and the user experience of the Supernote so bloody much, and the tactility of it and the size as well, which is a gamble for me but really paid off. Turns out I much prefer this size. I just wanted to do a quick-ish video on all the stuff that I use e-ink devices for and now that I use the Supernote for. So let's get this set up ready for the desk cam and shift over to take a wee look down here. So here it is. Let's open it up. That's me and my wee boy that you saw on the lock screen. Supernote doesn't do the thing that Bookses and Remarkables do, whereby you can keep the last thing that was on screen visible as a lock screen, which is a fab feature. I hope that Supernote, or rather Rata, the company that makes Supernote, offers that as a screensaver feature in future, because I really love it. But since there's a folio cover for this, it's not so much of an issue. Anyway, here we go. Let's have a quick tour of some of the stuff that I use this thing for. Now, obviously, I use e-ink to proofread. I am a novelist, I write books and stuff, and I do my proofing of lengthy things, you know, novel length stuff on e-ink, so I use annotations and all that stuff. Typically use the EPUB format because it's reflowable. You know, I can make it the size I need it to be, particularly important if you get a smaller screen size like this. So I do have in my documents folder books. That's books with a KS rather than an X. These are the novels I've written so far as you know, and nothing else for you to take a peek at just yet. But the main thing, of course, is taking notes, and they live here. So I am perpetually fiddling with my organization system, folders and all that. For now, my thinking is basically if it goes past one page, and I think you can fit about 10 in the most compact list view on the Supernote. If it goes past that, then you need some folders, because I don't really like paging through. There are other view modes, of course. There's the slightly more detailed list with bigger previews, and there's the, you know, the giant preview. But I tend to use this. So what have I got right at the top level? When I make videos occasionally, I want to sort of draw stuff to illustrate points, and that is my visual aids file, just starting from the bottom there. I like to illustrate my outlining method that doesn't go beneath 2 levels for novels, and about always trying to lift the tone up towards civility and dignity. I did wee videos on these things. How to make a simple list without fiddling with all the bullet journal-y type stuff. I have a Scratchpad file, which is what we were in previously. That's just where I make quick notes. If I'm on the phone or I just need to note something briefly, just get it down on a disposable piece of paper, that's where I go. Household. This is stuff that needs to be done for the house, like fix this and replace this and buy that and so on and so forth. I'm probably not going to open that one in front of you, not that there's anything weird, but you know, personal information. Commonplace. A commonplace book is a collection of usually quotations from things that you like. That's exactly what this is. I didn't end up copying over all of my quotations from my previous e-ink device, so this is just a single page at the moment, as you can see, but I like having that handy to add to. Interests. quite a lot in here. I'm obviously madly into e-ink devices. You can even see the page where I convinced myself to buy a Nomad and then selected the exact pack of stuff, the crystal one and this pen in the Odyssey blue colour and the white fake leather folio, and like reasons I wasn't going to get the Remarkable Paper Bro. I periodically write comparisons and stuff for e-ink. Gaming, I make notes about video games I'm playing, usually on the Nintendo Switch. I have got notes in there about the few things I still have to mop up in Tears of the Kingdom and stuff that I am doing at the moment in Unicorn Overlord, which is a fantastic strategy RPG, if you like that stuff. Keyboards, that's about mechanical keyboards, which I am hugely into. I've got over that direction, I've got a cupboard full of mechanical keyboards. I use a split ergonomic keyboard at the moment called the ZSA Voyager. Same people that make the Moonlander. Brilliant keyboard. I've changed the switches, of course. Fiddled with the keyboard layout extensively. I'm using home row mods. You should read about that. If you're not familiar with it, it'll blow your mind and you'll think I'm mad. Put some blank covers on certain keys to reduce the number of keys I'm using and so on, but I'm totally into keyboards, spent way too much money on it. I have got dozens of sets of key caps, boxes full of switches, a whole soldering kit, which you call soldering if you're in the United States, but I assure you it is soldering here, and so on and so on and so on. So that is a major hobby of mine, although I prefer to use interests rather than hobbies. Music, I like to do a bit of music production. I'm quite into synthwave, and I was trained to play the piano for a number of years. I have got a MIDI keyboard right under here. It's a big Arturia 60 odd key thing. Beautiful, white of course, I like white devices, and I built a slide out tray that I can pull it out easily, connect it up to Logic. I suppose that takes us down to here. Woodworking, do quite a lot of woodworking. I have another YouTube channel called The Tiniest Workshed in Scotland, and I have built a whole load of stuff. It's a really tiny workshed, and I build things in there and find ways to maximize the limited space. You can probably tell that I imported a bunch of these pages from my previous e-ink device, but that's a big interest of mine. Love woodworking, love power tools, fantastic stuff. Videography, that's really just about YouTube. I didn't know anything about photography, so I had to learn the whole thing, you know, about apertures and ISO and white balance and all of it to get a decent setup for YouTube. I am still very much an enthusiastic amateur, learning about it, and I make notes as I go. What haven't I covered? YouTube itself. This is a note filled with ideas for videos, and of course there is a note about doing this very video in there and future things I can do. It includes stuff for my woodworking channel, stuff for promotion for my books and my normal life as a novelist, and of course a whole bunch of e-ink stuff as well. I have a few of these things pinned to this quick access thing. These first two, personal and work, are folders, as you can see just over there, and I've got a few specific things, including the Scratchpad, Commonplace, and YouTube that you've seen already, just the stuff I need to jump to quickly. I find the personal and work categories, it's easier having a folder rather than specific files, although I do have a few from there. Personal, of course, I do a bunch of sort of therapeutic stuff. I do actual therapy sessions each week, so tend to make notes leading in and then a few days after a session, but halfway through the following week I'll make some more notes for the following session. Very, very handy to have with you when you get into a therapy session, and therapeutic writing, expressive writing is really useful, you know, if you don't have a therapist or a counsellor to talk to. Morning pages, this is a sort of, it's a thing for artists whereby you commit each morning to writing 3 pages of absolutely anything at all, a brain dump, get it all out your head, clear the way for being creative and thinking about what you want to focus on. It doesn't just have to be for artists. I think it can help pretty much anybody. There's only 1 page in that because I didn't see any reason in copying the dozens and dozens of previous pages across to here. Likewise for the therapy log, I've only had the Supernote a couple of weeks, so you know there's only 3 pages like the 2 weeks previously on the coming session as well. Health stuff, just to keep track of anything related to health, any wee things that you want to have a log of. In my case, unfortunately, my childhood asthma has recently returned to some degree, so I keep track of when I got prescriptions for stuff and how I'm doing and all that sort of thing. Gratitude. There's an awful lot of evidence supporting the idea that if you just jot down 3 or 4 things that you're grateful for each day, has a big positive effect on mental health and can even reduce healthcare approaches in the future. You know, improving your physical health takes minutes and can be a good thing to do near the end of the day. Another thing I do is I write letters to my son. Says Callum Letters there. His name is Callum. He's 4 years old, so he can't read yet, except for he can read all the letters of the alphabet, and he can read numbers, and he can read his name and a selection of other words, a couple of dozen individual other words, but you can't read. And I find myself thinking about him an awful lot, as you do when you're a dad, when he's, you know, at nursery during the day before I go and collect him, and I tend to write down just a wee paragraph every now and then to him about how his day was and what he's told me and what I'm thinking about him, with the obvious hope that someday I will give those to him to have a read of, hopefully in my presence, not being morbid or anything. And then of course work is the big thing. I think that's the one that will differ most from person to person. I am a novelist, so you know, I plan books, outline books, think about settings, themes, plots, characters, and overarching series if the book's part of a series, and I do that stuff on e-ink now, although as you can see from the relative paucity of entries here, I have previously done that on the iPad up there. I did use the Apple Pencil to do it though, so it was still a sort of like a pen on paper, quote unquote, sort of experience, but it's just so much nicer on e-ink. And as I've said, I do proof on e-ink as well. So I've got a document for overall planning, thinking about lots of different titles at once, filing away ideas, thinking how things could work commercially, and it's more long-term and high level. I've got some specific projects, some of which are sort of obfuscated, because I'm not ready to talk to you about them just yet. And I've got a marketing note where these are actually notes from YouTube videos that I've done on some of my novels, giving background and giving insight into the writing process. So that's one for Middle Shade Road there. You can find elsewhere on my channel video for that. I did video for Jinx, most recent one, which is in the Technical Thriller series. I did one for Toll, this one here, and I'm certain I'm also my notes for Changer back there. Yes indeed, there it is. So yes, I do notes on e-ink for my marketing videos as well. The most interesting thing to show you would be, of course, how I go about doing book planning, and you know, actually planning out a story. I'm not going to do that right in front of you right now because I'm not prepared for that, but I am going to have a video where I think I'll probably come up with a sort of fanciful, maybe a future installment in this Kestrel series or something, just for the sake of having an example to really work through that's got some substance to it, and we'll go through it, making use of all of the features of the Supernote that are super good, useful for that. In particular, the interlinking and keywords and so on, because I do use features like that in Ulysses on my iPad when I'm writing. I'm an iPad only person in terms of computers at home, and I do all the actual writing and redrafting, the creation of print manuscripts, cover wraparounds, blurbs, and of course the final deliverable files, EPUBs, and the PDF interior masters. I do all of that on an iPad, thankfully, because we've got Ulysses and we've got the Affinity suite, so that's perfectly possible on a tablet computer, but as much of the thinking of everything as possible I do on e-ink. Previously the books, but now of course the wonderful Supernote. As I said, I've got my stuff set up here for quick access. It's a mixture of stuff I will always want to get to because I use it at least weekly or often daily. That'll be these things here. And then the ones that are sort of you know, just contextually relevant at the moment. And I swap stuff, a couple of entries in and out of this every few days so far, and the rest stays more or less stable. I guess it's slowly approaching equilibrium. I haven't finalised the layout of any of this, but I'm getting there, and I'm certainly very used to how this thing works. So yes, marketing, book planning, extensive details on specific books, breaking down protagonists, antagonists, side characters, plot arcs, settings, all of that. I do that on here. I keep track of household stuff that I need to be doing, fixes around the house, and you know, clearing the gutters, and you can imagine. Get a new chair and blah 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 blah. I've got a quick scratch pad, just like a memo pad sort of thing. Visual aids for sometimes for YouTube videos, sometimes for if I'm responding to something on social media or an email, or I just need to think something through. That's what I tend to use that for. I've got a commonplace book to keep quotations that are important to me. I write letters to my son, a gratitude journal, health tracker sort of thing, my morning pages, which is like a brain dump diary kind of thing. You should read The Artist's Way. Get that on Amazon or whatever, which is where you'll find out about morning pages. And a therapy log. And that is not what I meant to tap. I meant to tap that instead. And then, of course, all the personal interests, from e-ink tablets, video games, mechanical keyboards, music production, videography, as it pertains to YouTubing, lots of woodworking, and of course plans for actual YouTube videos themselves. So that's the kind of stuff that I use the Supernote now, and e-ink tablets in general, for. It's maybe a bit more of a wide set of uses than you might first have thought of. People tend to look at these things either exclusively as a tool for work, or as a journal, or as a reader, and I use it for all of those things. I've got the Kindle app there as well, as you'll have seen in the sidebar menu, and it's, you know, logged into my Amazon account and has all my books synced and so on, and I genuinely do sit and read on it. Previously had still got an Oasis, which I think is the finest Kindle Amazon ever made. Sort of wider one, super thin and thicker down one side with the physical page turning buttons. Love all of that. but it's getting a wee bit long in the tooth and the battery isn't what it used to be. We've both got the, what do you call it? I keep going to say Paper Soft, but Colour Soft, the one that's got the, just out and it's got the, in late 2024. It's got the colour screen, lovely device, great battery. Unfortunately no page turning physical buttons, which I do like, but we have those. But the Supernote has a bigger screen than either of them. Doesn't have a light, of course, but for most circumstances where you just want to get a few pages read and there's sufficient light anyway, perfect. Why not do it on the same device, make the annotations, etc. It's just a hugely versatile, flexible thing, and you quickly find yourself, because of how it feels both in the physical sense, that amazing writing surface, and how it feels in terms of the user experience, how things are organised, how the features are presented, which features are included. You quickly find yourself finding ways to integrate it into other bits of your life, and that's certainly been my experience even after 2 weeks. I'm just so much more willing to take it with me and desperate to get it involved in what I am doing. There's also something about the act of opening the folio cover, and then you set it down, you get one hand on the interior of the open page, the open folio, sorry, I'm right-handed, and then the pen on the screen. There's something just so evocative of physical notebooks, that act of one hand down and another hand behind, on the screen or the paper, writing. It just gives me this wee sort of spark of delight each time. It's a beautiful thing, and it just gets the hell out of your way and lets you focus on writing and thinking and connecting ideas together and getting clarity. And I'm quite certain that I'll continue to find new ways to use it and integrate it into my life as I go. I will most certainly be talking about it more in future videos. Thanks again for watching this, and I hope you'll tune into the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as they say, it really does help. And I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.